Welcome back to the Museum Roadshow. I'm Roger Engstrom, and today we're going to have Arnold Benson's kids sharing their memories about working at the cafe.
We started working at the restaurant when we were very young. We would clear tables, and then we'd bring them into the kitchen and put them up on this big counter thing that had a lip around it so that the water wouldn't run out onto the floor. And then we'd scrape, and then we could load the dishwasher and put it in. But we'd clear and wipe off tables. Then as we got older, then we worked on waiting on people. So I just remember doing that when I was in elementary school until he sold it when I was a senior in high school. We worked all that time. We'd work in the summers and we'd work after school. He had girls there that were the main waitresses, so they always got the hours they wanted first, and we just got whatever he needed us. And when Dad would go for a nap, if we got busy, either I would do it or the waitress that was there with me would do it. We'd be the short order cook, and then we would do it unless we got really busy. Then we'd go downstairs or call home, wherever he went, to take a nap and get him back. Or if there's something I couldn't do and didn't feel comfortable doing. But I remember one time it was my turn to be in the kitchen and the waitress's turn to be out there. And we got busy, but it was in such a way that you could handle it. And it seemed like everybody was ordering either chicken or fish. So you had to dip it in the egg mixture, roll it in the flour, dip it back in the egg mixture, roll it in the breadcrumbs, and then fry it. And I was doing so many of that, my fingers were just huge. And my Aunt Gertie had come in at that time for coffee or something because she had been visiting. And she just, oftentimes over the years, reminded me of the story about how big and fat my fingers were because they were just crusted with all that stuff. But we got it done without having to wake him up. And so he came upstairs and he said, well, we have any business this afternoon? And we said, oh, there are a few. And he walked to the steam table and there were no potatoes left and no gravy left. And so he had to boil up some so that we could have boiled potatoes instead of mash for the evening. But yeah, it was hard work though. You're on your feet a lot. And your tips, you were really lucky. If somebody left you 35 cents, boy, you had really done well. But usually they just left you a dime or a nickel. And the regulars would come in for their coffee in the morning and afternoon. They'd be around the Horseshoe. And when I was little, when there wasn't anybody in there, I'd sit on those stools and spin around and around. Or Charlotte would do that till you got kind of dizzy. And some of the stools stuck, so you couldn't do that very well because you'd get thrown off. But we knew the ones that went around easily.
I remember as a kid, I used to have to haul the garbage from the restaurant out to the landfill. And we had an old 54 Nash Ambassador car. It had a Continental kit on the back, and which meant it had a good-sized bumper, and on each side of the tire on the back was a place you could set a garbage can. So we'd set a garbage can on each side of there and gingerly drive out to the dump with that so they wouldn't fall off. And another job I did was peel onions. And of course, peeling onions, you know, it gets in the scent gets in your eye, and so I had little swimming goggles that I wore over my eyes and a nose plug on my nose when I peeled the onions. Well, there's other things we did as I got older. I remember in 1963, in the fall, Jack Howe and I were sitting up in the front booth playing Radio Bingo from KDLM, and all of a sudden a news bulletin come over that President Kennedy had been shot. So that was one of the things I remember about the cafe. During the Water Carnival parades, we would go around the back, and the building next door had a fire escape from it, and we'd go up the fire escape and get on our building and then watch the parade from on top of our building, and that was kind of fun.
My dad was quite a jokester. He liked to pull pranks on people. And there was a fella that used to come in, a gentleman that would sit at the end of the counter, and every day he would have a pancake, one pancake, and coffee. And one day my dad was back there doing his order, and I saw him put something in there, and I said, "Dad, what are you doing?" And he showed me, and it was a round cardboard the size of a pancake. So he put the mix on it, and when it was done, he put it on the plate, and I served it to the gentleman, and he goes, "Beans? I can't cut this. I don't mean to be rude or anything," but he says, "This is really a tough pancake." And then Dad said, "Take and push the pancake bed. There's cardboard in it." So he was quite a jokester, and he pulled pranks on a few people. And we had a salesman come in one time, and his name was Vern. I don't remember exactly what he was a salesman for, but he did all his calls from our phone. So one day my dad said, "Here, give this to Vern. Somebody called, and he needs to call this place right away." So I said, "Okay." So when Vern came in, I gave him the message. I said, "Vern, Dad said you got to call this place right away. They're out of your product." And so he gets on the phone and he calls, and this strange look came over his face, and he hung up the phone and he says, "Where's your dad?" And I said, "Well, he's downstairs sleeping." And he says, "That's fine." He says, "That was a mortuary." There are a few other things that went around there. He used to have a buzzer for us that would let us know that an order was up. And when little kids came in, he would put his knee up against the buzzer, and he would wiggle his ears or do different things with his face. And the little kids would go, "Oh, wow."
My dad, pretty much while he ran the cafe from 1948 to about 1966, I think, is when he sold the restaurant. And from there, then he went to cook at the Greystone Hotel. And he cooked there for a number of years. Then he became a meat cutter at Smalley's grocery store on Willow Avenue, or Willow Street, yeah. And then from there he retired. When my dad sold the restaurant, he sold it to a Hanson that was going to start up the old Brownies saloon and pool hall that had been removed for the highway project that was pretty close to where it is today. And then from there the business was sold, I think, it became a Dixie Donut, and now it's a cigarette store. So,
thanks for watching the Museum Roadshow. I'm Roger Engstrom, signing off till next time, and remember, on TV3, history repeats itself every 4 hours. So long for now.